So in Wisconsin, a heavily armed paramilitary group, like I said, is protecting a mining site against, well, protesters, of course. Now this group is called BulletProof Securities, and they're out of Arizona. They're described as men who basically look like special forces officers. So they've got assault rifles, black masks, very menacing. Okay. Now, one wonders why you would need such a menacing force against protesters. Am I right? Now, the mining site that they're protecting is called, and I'm going to butcher the name of this, the Gojibik Tassonite mining site, and it's an iron mining site, or a proposed iron mining site. And the company, this company hired BulletProof Securities after a little bit of a clash with 15 protesters. Now, the protests have been mostly nonviolent, but apparently the company claims that the protesters had been doing some vandalism, but we'll get to that a little bit later. The mining site is, of course, controversial, and that might be another reason why they hired this paramilitary group to come in and guard the site. Now, it is controversial because one of the major reasons is because the mining site is in violation of a treaty with some of the native peoples in that area, so Native Americans. Now, State Senator Bob Josh, I believe, told the Wisconsin State Journal that he is appalled. There is no evidence to justify their presence. And he's talking about, of course, the Bulletproof Services, not the Native Americans. He also sent a letter to the company president, Bill Williams, demanding that he remove the guards. He said, quote, "Guards like these are common in third world countries, but they don't belong in northern Wisconsin." I think he's right. That's crazy. It's like hiring Blackwater. It's amazing that we have paramilitary groups protecting mining sites from protesters here in America. You know, this isn't
scary. It's scary, and it's one of the many scary things that are happening in this country right now that makes me feel more and more like we're entering a military state, and we're losing our rights. And even though they're technically still there on paper, they're being ignored.
Yeah, and it's just strange to see private militaries, you know, just private militaries. This is crazy.
We thought that corporate goons back in the 40s and the 30s were pretty bad. Paramilitary, you're talking some serious shit now.
We are. Absolutely we are.
We've gotten to the point where this country doesn't need the mafia anymore, because it's just we still have the mafia, but it's become official. It's become part of the system, part of the machine. The real mafia is what our government and what the corporations have become as a unit, and it's extremely disturbing.
It is very disturbing.
Well, I'm not going to ostracize the mafia. The mafia, in its beginning, pretty much were folk heroes. I mean, the mafia is basically what stood between the upstart unions and the corporate goons. It was pretty much, we will protect you as long as you give us a union pension. And we don't have to work a day in our life. We can collect the union pension. We'll protect you from the government. That's exactly what they did. They were pretty much folk heroes.
But here's the thing, though. That you've got these groups that are protecting a mining site against a couple of 15 protesters.
Yeah, but these aren't the mafia, man. These are just
15
wannabe-ass paramilitary
protesters. 15 unarmed, peaceful protesters.
It's overkill.
Way overkill. Not only that, but I wanted to get into the Native American tribe that lives pretty close, and they've got some grievances with the mining site as well. This Native American tribe is known as the Bad River Band of Lake Superior Chippewas. All right, and they're opposed to the mine because they argue that the pollution from the site will contaminate Bad River and Lake Superior and will destroy their wild rice beds. And now, of course, you've got this. Now, what they're going to try to do with that mine, it's going to be a giant mining pit. And we all know, you know, how bad the EPA is in being able to protect our natural resources, right?
Yeah, and it gets worse and worse all the time, because the first thing that especially right-wing politicians do is cut EPA funding, so that the little that they are allowed to do by law, they can't do realistically, because they don't have enough people, they don't have enough funding, they don't have enough equipment. So, people are just allowed to get away with whatever and pollute our earth and damage and destroy everything that we have.
And they're hiring guards with semi-automatic assault weapons and
Against
black
unarmed
camouflage
protesters.
masks and everything, so that they're able to pollute. And that's what it comes down to.
Well, another thing
We have the right to protest in this country. It's one of the fundamental ideals that this country was supposedly founded on, is the ability to speak one's mind and protest against what one deems is injustice. It pains me to see what this country is becoming. And I'm not one of those idealistic people that thinks, oh, back in the good old days it was so great. No, that's not true, but I feel like we've entered into an area, a realm of extremes and insanity and stupidity and greed that is threatening to just consume us all in their lust for absolute power and control.
Ask yourselves, what the fuck are they doing with all the iron? It's not like we're building skylines in this country. What are they planning on doing with it? Building skylines elsewhere, manufacturing weapons, preparing for World War III? What the hell do they need all the new hematite and magnetite iron for?
That's not really the issue, though. I don't really care what they're wanting to use it for. They're probably going to sell it to China. That's not the issue. The issue is that we have armed guards with assault weapons out here protecting a corporate, entity from a couple of protesters. Now, the worst that these protesters have done, and one woman was arrested for stealing a camera from one of the geologists. Overkill. She stole a camera, and there's been a couple of people that have illegally camped out on the property.
Well,
so you're going to get guys
arrested
with assault weapons out there to chase them off. It's about fear and intimidation. But I want to go back.
Everyone's arrested for everything now and then. She's lucky she wasn't shot. Everyone goes to extremes now, especially people, policemen, people with guns, armed guards, whatever they are. Everything goes to extremes now. Someone, steals a candy bar from a store and they're shot dead in the street. It's just, everything's gone insane.
Or they get a felony. But I want to get back to the Native Americans here that had actually sent a letter to the State Department, the State Department of Natural Resources, and that was last week, and it raised a couple of these concerns with this exploratory permit. They said that the DNR did not consult the tribe before issuing that permit, and not only that, but the company was not required to obtain a wastewater discharge permit. So already this company has it's pretty much bypassed the wishes of this Native American tribe.
Of course.
And they're going to pollute their land, and of course they're now protecting that thing with that mining site with armed guards.
Well, they have to finish the job they started 200 years ago. They have to completely screw over the Native Americans that are left in the land that they have.
But I do have kind of a good news to go with this story. And it was just a recent update today that I read before going on air, is that the Bulletproof Security guards have left the site because they have no license to operate in Wisconsin.
Good.
Now, that's only going to be a temporary delay, but that's still a good thing. And this only happened because of the media exposure going on for the last week. Before that, media exposure, the mining company had declared that the patrols would continue despite criticism from local officials. And
knowledge is the most important thing, getting the truth out there and yelling it in people's faces until they start to listen.
Exactly. Now, this didn't stop Bulletproof Securities. They have actually contacted the department, and they're intending to submit a license application. So they might be back in another week. So hopefully we can continue, spreading the word and saying that this is wrong. People have a right to protect their property, yes, but also people have a right to protest and not have to face down ex-military members in some sort of paramilitary outfit with assault weapons and camouflage gear. I think that's way overkill.